Fierce, fearless faith frees you, conveying cascading kindness changes you. Belaying boundless belief enlivens you. For those of you who wanted the short message for the day, for those of you who don't have time to dig and deep dive into the divine word this day, know that your fierce, fearless faith will free you. Know that when you convey cascading kindness, it changes you and everyone around you. Know this, that when you belay boundless belief, it enlivens. Turn with me to the gospel reading for the day. The gospel reading can be found in Mark chapter 5. Now, the gospel reading listed for today was kind of short, but we're going to take that deep dive because it's 2025 into this divine word and walk through it so that it cleanses us, making us a new being, so that it increases our faith, so that we can be free, so that we can display the same kindness that Jesus conveys and the boundless belief that literally creates new life. Let's drop down to verse 21. Read it with me. It says, when Jesus had again crossed over by boat to the other side of the lake, a large crowd gathered around him while he was by the lake. Then one of the synagogue leaders, a leader in their community named Jairus, came, and when he saw Jesus, what does it say that he did, Dante? That's right. What does it say? Read it out loud. It says that he fell at Jesus's feet. He pleaded earnestly with him. My little daughter is dying. Please come and put your hands on her. Please come touch my daughter, that she may be healed and live. Jairus had this fierce, fearless faith. This fierce, fearless faith allowed him to see Jesus as he was. See Jesus as who he was. Allowing this leader of the synagogue to literally fall. His faith allowed him to fall. It freed him to fall at the feet of Jesus, so that he could earnestly request through his fierce, fearless faith that his daughter might live if Jesus would only touch. Place his hand was the request on her. Because when he approached Jesus, she was dying. She wasn't dead yet. She was dying. And his belief, the word for faith, belief, is the same word in Greek. It's pistis. His faith, his belief allowed him to believe and know in his heart that Jesus could save his dying daughter. And what did Jesus say? Jesus gives us the divine example of who we are to be each and every day. Jesus didn't say, hey, wait a minute. Jesus, it says, went with him. That conveys a cascading kindness, a kindness that enlivens. A large crowd followed and pressed around Jesus, it says. In verse 25, it says, a woman was there who had been subject to bleeding for how many years? 12. She had been bleeding for 12 years. She had suffered a great deal under the care of many, not just one, not two, many doctors, and had spent all she had. When she heard, listen, when she heard about Jesus, she came up behind him. She came up behind him in the crowd and touched, it says, his cloak. The word touched in Greek is ipsato. Ipsato. It says ipsato. She ipsato him. Now we have to understand what this word ipsato means. Ipsato or hapato. Ipsato means to touch. Yes, it also means to light on. She lit upon Jesus with a transfer request of energy, like lighting upon putting a bulb into an electric socket. She wanted to draw some energy from Jesus. She lit upon Jesus because this word ipsato means to light upon, but it means that there's going to be a transfer. It's an impactful touch, a touch that draws and influences. It's a touch that attaches oneself. Ipsato. It says she touched Jesus's cloak because she thought, if I apasome, if I touch his clothes, I will be healed. This is a woman with fearless faith, wanting to be saved, freed of her 12 years of bleeding, depending on Jesus cascading through that lit of a touch, cascading kindness upon her through the transfer, this electrified, lit upon transfer touch. Immediately, it says, how long, Deborah? That's right. Immediately. This is important. Say it with me. Immediately, her bleeding stopped. And she felt in her body that she was freed from her suffering. Fearless faith will free you. At once, Jesus realized that power, right? She connected that light bulb she connected it into Jesus. At once, Jesus felt that attachment, that transfer of energy that she was drawing out. At once, it says, Jesus realized that power had gone out of him. He turned, it says, around in the crowd, looking. Jesus is looking for who drew that energy, who attached themselves, lit upon him, and pulled that energy out. Jesus is looking around the crowd. And he says, who touched my clothes? His disciples are like, excuse me, you see all these people crowding against you, and yet you can ask, who touched me? Ipasato, who lit upon me? Ipasato, who attached themselves, plugged in and drew some energy out of me? You can ask that question? But Jesus kept looking around to see who had done it. Then the woman, knowing what had happened to her, came and fell at his feet, and trembling with fear, told him the whole truth. He said to her, daughter, Jesus is saying to you, you who have that audacious faith, Jesus is saying to you, you who have that boundless belief, Jesus is saying to you, daughter, son, my child, my sibling, daughter, your faith. And it says, probably in your translation, unless you're reading King James, your faith has healed you. Now, the King James sometimes says has saved you. And the word, he says this phrase in the Greek, the word is pistis su sesosiken, which means save. Sosiken. Saved you. Saved you from 12 years of bleeding. Saved you from the drug habit, from the alcohol addiction. Jesus is here to save you. Pornography, what is it that is taking you out of the eyesight, out of the line of Jesus? Jesus says your faith can save you. Your faith. That fearless faith that falls at the feet of Jesus, requesting to be saved, to be freed. And you may not even have the words like this woman, but you can light on, attach yourself to the cloak of Jesus by diving into the divine word of God each and every day. You may be thinking, well, Vera, I don't have time to read it. Hey, if you are listening to music, you can listen to the word. Take a moment, listen to the word, dive into that divine word. Daughter, your faith has healed you. Go in peace and be what does it say there, Tommy? Be free. Be free. Be free. Be freed from your suffering. While Jesus was still speaking, some people came from the house of Jairus, the synagogue leader, and said, your daughter is dead, they said. Why bother the leader anymore? Jesus overheard them. Jesus overheard these people speaking to Jairus. How many times have people tried to tell you, when you've latched on, attached to, lit on the cloak of Jesus, the divine word, hey man, that word is going to help you out. You might as well just go on home. The minute you start to have fierce faith, the minute you start to convey kindness, the minute you start to have boundless belief, know that the naysayers are going to surround you and tell you to don't even attach yourself to Jesus. Jesus overheard them. And I can imagine Jairus and his feelings. He was probably thinking, wow, I came here to see Jesus. I finally get to him. He decides to come with me. And yet, my daughter dies. My daughter dies and I'm not even there. And Jesus says this, Miphobu, monon pisteve, Miphobu, have no fear, do not fear, Miphobu. Do not fear, Jesus says, don't be afraid. Monon pisteve, just pisteve, believe. Don't be afraid. Just believe. Don't listen to the naysayers. Just believe. Don't allow yourself to take your attachment someplace else. Just believe. Pisteve. Have faith. Be kind and believe. He did not let anyone follow him except Peter, James, and John, the brother of James. When they came to the home of the synagogue leader, Jesus saw the commotion. People were crying and wailing loudly. He went in and said to them, "Why all this commotion and wailing? The child is not dead, but asleep." The child is not dead, but asleep. And this is why he chose to not let anyone else follow him, but the believers, Peter, James, John, Jairus, the family, close family, because they laughed at him when he said, "She's just sleeping." After he put them all out, he took the child's father and mother and the disciples, these are the believers, those who have faith, who were with him, and went in where the child was. Jesus reached out. What was that word? What was that word that we were talking about? Do you remember? It's about touch. Ipasato. Apoto. Jesus reached out his hand and he began to transfer that energy by attaching himself to her. Could you imagine being attached to Jesus in this way? It only takes faith. Jesus reached out, it says, and he took her by the hand and said to her, Talitha kum, which means in Aramaic, Talitha means little girl. Kum in the Aramaic means stand up. Now, I don't know what your version says. It might say get up, stand up. Talitha kum, stand up, little girl. Immediately. Now go back. This is just like the woman who had been bleeding for 12 years. She lit upon Jesus. She attached herself to Jesus through faith. And immediately the blood stopped. Immediately, it says, immediately. After saying, Talitha kum, immediately after touching the girl, ipasome, immediately, the girl stood up. Immediately, the girl stood up and began to walk around. Immediately the girl stood and began to walk around, it says. At this, they were completely astonished. He gave strict orders. Jesus gave strict orders not to tell anyone about this. And he said, go and get her something to eat. Fearless faith frees you. Conveying, cascading kindness, like the kindness of Jesus. Saying, yes, I will come with you. Yes, you can touch me. Your faith has healed you. Touching the girl, the kindness of Jesus. Conveying, cascading kindness. It changes you. And it changes the others around you. Belaying boundless belief enlivens, creating an environment where we can all live and stand up. This past week, I was fortunate enough to go to a place that I absolutely love to go. My daughter and I go often, and when my colleagues say, well, where are you going? I always say adult camp. I used to send my daughter to Spring Hill Camp, if you're familiar with Spring Hill camps. And they had all these wonderful things to do, and I'd think, boy, I'd love to do some of that. That looks so much fun. And I remember sending her also to Royal Ridges. Oh, I'd love to do some of this. I'd have so much fun. Well, this is like adult camp. And I went to have some time away, some time to recharge and plug in. And I'll never forget being in the cafeteria area. And a fellow was bringing out watermelon. And when I work out hard, I love watermelon because it replenishes my lost sweating water that comes profusely out of me. So I eat a ton of watermelon. And I noticed when I'd walked by earlier, the watermelon plate had just a few pieces on it. I'm like, yeah, I don't want some bunch of picked over pieces. So I saw him and I followed him. I followed him to where he was going to put the watermelon down. And I like to have conversations with the folks who are there because there's just so many amazing narratives of the folks. And I asked the person as I was getting the watermelon and putting it onto my plate, I said, hey, I said, so tell me what's your name? And it usually says their name and their word on there. And so he said, well, my name is so-and-so. And I'm like, oh, nice to meet you. And I'm just going to call him Stephen. Nice to meet you, Stephen. And he said, great. And I said, well, what is your name? What does your word mean, Stephen? And he's like, well, it's a long story. And I'm like, I've got time. And Stephen went on to tell me that his word was faith. Faith. Faith like the fierce fearless faith of Jairus, who fell at the feet of Jesus. Faith, like the fearless faith of the woman who had been bleeding, who attaches herself, right? Lights upon Jesus. His word is faith. Stephen goes on to tell me about his addictions. And he's like, but I will tell you, when he found out my name was Pastor Vera, well, I'll tell you, Pastor Vera, I wouldn't change a thing. Yes, I've done bad things. And yes, I've done bad things to my body, but I wouldn't change a thing because it brought me here to have this fearless faith. And now I am free. He didn't say it like that, but I am saying like that for him. He is free. Just like the woman who was immediately free of her bleeding. He is free. Stephen is free from his drug addiction. He is free from his alcohol addiction. He is free from his past through his faith. He has been saved. Freed from all that had set him back. Fearless faith will free you. I went with my niece to this adult camp that I like to go to. And when we had been preparing our activities, there was this one activity that's called Giant's Ladder. She said, I'd like to sign up for that. Now, you gotta understand, my niece is a fierce climber. She loves to rock climb, and she puts her hands in those little holes. You know, I hate rock climbing. I'm not trying, my fingers, I know, they're not that strong. I'm just gonna be telling you right now. They're not that strong. And so she wanted to do this Giant's Ladder, and I didn't really know what it was, just to be honest. I had no idea. So I'm like, yeah, whatever. And she's like, let's do the squirrel. I know what the squirrel is, the flying squirrel. My daughter and I do it every time we go. So I love the flying squirrel, but I didn't know about the Giant's Ladder. So I was telling my daughter about, yeah, we're going, and I'm going to do the Giant's Ladder. She said, Mom, Dad, do you remember what the Giant's Ladder looks like? Now, they have this stuff called the Warrior Challenge and all these cool things. They have a climbing wall. And, I always think of, the ladder with these ladders that go across overhead, right? That's what I was thinking. So when I got to the Giant's Ladder last week, I was quite awestruck. I was anxious. And I'm going to be honest, I was a little afraid. I'm not going to act like I wasn't. Because the very first rung on the Giant's Ladder is about 3 feet off the ground. And the rungs in between measure anywhere. I'm 5'6", almost 5'7". Anywhere, okay, maybe 5'8" with the hair, but anywhere between 4 feet and 5 feet. The rungs in between, and they go up all the way into the trees. They go all the way into the trees. And I just thought, what? Woo! And so it tells you when you're reading the description for the Giant's Ladder that you're to have a partner or a companion. And so we get in the bus, and there's 3 folks who are going. Well, this one person doesn't have a companion. And the 2 belayers, and I don't even know what belaying is really, right? Because I'm not a climber, okay? I understand, I got the concept a little bit, but I'm not a climber, so I haven't done it a lot. So we had the 2 belayers, and then we had the 3 of us. And one of the belayers said, okay, well, we'll see if we'll get this one fellow from the actual community who works there to be the other partner. Now, I would love to call his name because I have never seen, listen closely, I have never seen ever in my entire life a person with this young man's complete, utter, cascading kindness. He was pretty much voluntold that he had to be this other person's partner. And I'm going to call him Mark. So Mark climbs up on the first rung, and you could tell he was a climber. He loved this. I mean, he ate this stuff every day like it was no big deal. I can climb that, no big deal, like a little flying monkey kind of thing. He could just, like a flying squirrel, whatever, he could climb it. Now his job was to run the flying squirrel, which was the next class after, right? And he was needing to prepare for all of that. We arrive at this giant's ladder, let's say at 12 o'clock. And he is to assist this guy up this ladder. So the guy gets up, he gets up on the first rung, Mark gets up, hangs on, right? The next guy, he kind of gets up on that first rung, holds onto the second rung. And he's just kind of hanging out there for a minute. Well, Mark, amazing climber, pretty much jumps up on the next rung. So he's on 2 and 3. And he's like, okay, how can I help you? He's like, okay, well, let me try this. And he tries all these things that a guy still can't get up from that first set of rungs. And so Mark goes down. He goes down and he's like, okay, well, get on my knee. So he holds on one hand, the guy gets on his knee, and he pushes him over so that he's on that second rung. So he's literally on the second rung, and he's got to get up to the third rung. So Mark he just kind of lifts himself up, jumps up on that second rung, holding on to the third, and then he says, okay, let me help you up. And he helps the guy up. He lifts him up onto that. So he's standing between the third and the second rung. The entire time, Mark is kind, patient. And so he jumps his monkey jump, squirrel jump, right up onto the next set of rungs, 3 and 4. And he's there. He's ready. He's like, how can I help you? How can I help you? And so he's like, okay, well, just give me your arm. I think I can do it. And he pulls him. It doesn't work. Okay, well, let me jump back down. He jumps back down. He's like, okay, how can I help you? And then the guy stands on him. And he's like, I can't do it still. He's like, okay, well, let me jump back up. Now, every time he comes backing up, he asks the man, how can he help him? But it doesn't change. It's not like, look, I got another job I can do. I really don't want to be here helping you. He's like, how can I help you? He is so kind, so gracious, never making the person feel like it's an inconvenience to have your foot on my neck, my head, to be pulling you up over and over. Not once does Mark convey. Not once does Mark convey cruelty or abuse or belittling or I'm not going to help you anymore, whatever. Not once. Every time he's kind, every time he offers his leg, his arms, his shoulder, his head for the guy to come up on. And so he literally jumps back down, gives the guy a knee, pushes him back up onto the third, and then he's kind of just there on that third rung. So Mark jumps up between the third and the fourth and helps that other guy hang on to third and 4. And then he does it again. How can I help you? He's like, okay, well, maybe if you give me your knee again, that'll be helpful. So he stands on his knee, doesn't make it. Okay, well, then he says, okay, well, try my shoulders, doesn't make it. He's like, okay, well, maybe if you get up there and pull me up. So he jumps up to 4 and 5, tries to pull him up. He does everything. Now, we started at what time? 12 o'clock. It is now 12:45. And Mark has been up and down that giant ladder helping this guy, and they're on 3 and 4. And at this point, after helping him, encouraging him, trying to get him up these rungs, finally the person says, I can't make it any further. I can't make it any further. He's like, that's okay, no big deal. Let me help you back down. Conveying, cascading, kindness changes you, and it changes everyone around you. We are to have that Mark kindness. We are to have that Jesus kindness, the kindness that says, yes, you can stand so that I can help you. Yes, you can use me to help you. Yes, I am here to help you get up. I am here to help you reach forward. I am here to help you move on. Conveying, cascading kindness so that everyone around you is changed, renewed, literally saved. I will just tell you that yes, my niece and I made it up to the top. It was a lot of pulling and moving forward. But before we get into that, I have to tell you about belaying. Belaying means that you have this trust in your ability to manage from afar. A belayer holds the rope for the person going up the mountainside, for the person going up the rock wall, and in this instance, for the people going up the giant's ladder. And that belayer stands firm and steady. What I loved about our belayers is that they had this belief in us, this belief and encouragement in us. They believed we could do it, and we did it. They encouraged us to do it, and we did. It was this belaying, boundless belief. What I truly want to convey to you this fierce, furious, fearless, faithful day is that when you have the faith of Jairus, when you have the faith of the woman who was bleeding for 12 years, when you have the belief that if you just touch a light to Jesus's cloak, you will be freed from whatever is plaguing you, freed from whatever suffering you have. You will be saved. Saved like Stephen. When you convey cascading kindness, it changes you and everyone around you. When you belay boundless belief in our Lord Jesus Christ, you will stand up. You will stand firm. You will be enlivened. You will come back to life. Today, this new day, allow yourself to be free, changed, enlivened at the feet of Jesus. Fearless faith frees you so that you can convey cascading kindness with your boundless belief. You will enliven yourself and everyone around you. May the peace of our Lord Jesus Christ be with you always. Share that peace. Convey that kindness with one another this glorious new day.